Hello and welcome to another NASSP webinar. My name is John Nori and I'll be your moderator for the day. The topic today is March to Success. Let me back up one slide there, just a second. The topic for today is March to Success, prep for SAT and ACT practice tests. As you participate in the webinar, we invite you to expand the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag NASSPwebinar. During the webinar, we invite your questions. Please submit them using the question box on your GoToWebinar panel. We'll respond to as many questions as possible when time permits during the Q&A period at the end. And if we run out of time, we'll ask the presenter if he might be able to answer some of those questions via email. If you have a problem during the webinar, a technical problem, you'll need to call the toll-free number on your screen, 855-352-9002, and you'll need to have the webinar ID number, 807-101-067. I'll pause for a moment while you jot those numbers down. Again, we have our Twitter handle. NASSP is on Facebook, and the website is nassp.org. At that website, if you include /webinar, sometime in the next 48 hours, the materials from this webinar, the slides, and a recording will be up on our website. So you'll be able to access those and get those slides. I always get some people asking for slides at each webinar. You'll also be able to go there and print a certificate of attendance at nassp.org/webinar completed. Some of you have asked for those certificates in the past, and we're pleased to be able to provide them for you. Again, if you have questions during the webinar, please go to the question box and type those in. I'll monitor that and get those questions to our presenter at the end. And now I'd like to introduce today's presenter. Tony Castillo is Chief of Education for the U.S. Army, and he is located in Fort Knox, Kentucky. Tony's the lead education services specialist there, and he's in the U.S. Army Recruiting Command and has oversight for more than 50 education service specialists serving within the command. And Tony, I know you're there. I just want to say thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure.
I'm going to turn the controls over to Tony in just a minute, but I want to remind our presenters that this is a webinar, not a polished presentation. So if we have any problems during the course of the webinar, we'll address those and include you in our conversation. So Tony, I'm going to give you the control of everything now, and you should be able to go to the slides as appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you, John. Well, thank you, everybody, all the folks that are present here today. It's really my pleasure to be here, and the Army's pleasure to be partnered with NASSP to bring this information on this great free resource. And I want to point that out, that it is a free resource provided by the U.S. Army, really to help students graduate from high school and move on to whether it's post-secondary education or technical education, basically continue with their lives and become great productive members of our society so we can continue to have a strong America. The U.S. Army is really committed to developing a strong future for our soldiers. And the Army provides a variety of educational programs and benefits to our soldiers. And with March to Success, the Army has now made a commitment to students across the nation to help them become successful, at a minimum graduate from high school, and hopefully pursue some type of other academic endeavors. We believe in lifelong learning. The Army's commitment to education is very large. Not just, it goes beyond Montgomery GI Bill and the college benefits, but we have tuition assistance within the Army. And most people are not aware, I actually was deployed to Afghanistan in 2012. The Army actually had 12 education centers set up in country. So I just want to show the commitment that the Army has in education. And now, and actually a few years back, the Army extended that commitment to our students by really paying for this website, because it's not developed by the Army. One thing that I want to mention is March to Success. It's a free online self-paced tutoring program that has 7 free practice ACT tests, 7 free practice ACT and SAT tests, a game that the students can actually play, and while they're playing this game, they actually are studying for the ACT or SAT. Also, there's a tool within the program so parents, educators, mentors can track the progress of your students. I will tell you that personally I use this. I have a 15-year-old at home, and every summer for the last few years I've had her use March to Success, so she's not sitting idle at the house. But additionally to that, I've actually had her use the practice ACT test, and for us it's worked tremendously. As a 7th grader, scored a 20 composite the first time she took it, and actually she just took it again this last Saturday, the ACT, and we look forward to a good jump in that score. But as you can see here in the slide, it's really a great tool and provides a lot more than this. And I'm going to move on here and talk about the tracks. Okay, this slide right here shows you, it's a screenshot of the actual page within March to Success. Once you go into March to Success, this view right here is actually an educator's view. The students will see something very similar to this, but they will not have that tab on the far right that says Find Your Education Services Specialist. So as you can see here, the way we have March Success set up is we have a high school prep, which has the high school math and verbal skills. That program there is developed specifically. You can use it as a bridge between middle school to high school, and then you can use it for high school students to improve on high school coursework. Now, for students that may be a little bit more advanced in high school or whatnot, or students that are prepping for college, they can use the College Readiness Online course. You can see there we have a high school science hub. We also have information, i.e. going to the fact that we produce this for the simple fact to help students graduate from high school and move on, is we have the financial planning guide and admissions for college, and the student planning guide, so they can have a plan. You know, to be successful in life, you have to have a plan. You know, a lot of us, the reality is we take more time planning for a summer vacation that we maybe do for our lives. And so we put a planning guide in there to help students so they can maybe develop a plan of what do they look at in the future. You know, what are you thinking about doing in the future, whether it be a college? What classes do you need to take to get to that college? Now on the next tab, you'll see it's college prep, and that'll have all our college pieces. It'll have the 7 free ACT and SAT tests. It'll have the 0-hour threat game in there. The College Readiness Online course will be there. Then the next tab, you see we have some STEM curriculums, science, technology, engineering, and math. And there what we have is a variety of tests that are all STEM related, pre-engineering. We have some nursing tests, and I'll go into these a little bit more further in the slides. Track My Students. That is the tab that a parent, a mentor, or an educator would use to track the progress of their students. Now there's a process for that, and I recommend that first you need to register as a parent, a mentor, or an educator to see this view and have access to Track My Students and Find Your Education Services Specialist. Those two tabs will not show up for a student that is registered on March to Success. Within that tab, there's a video that shows you how to use that tool. So I encourage you, if you want to use that tool, especially for educators, please view the video first, because there's specific instructions so you can learn how to tie a student to you specifically. I will say that for students, for monitors, the number of monitors that they can add is unlimited. So if multiple teachers are using this in a classroom, or, you know, I've had some folks that have set up tutoring programs after school, you could, a student can add multiple monitors. It's unlimited. And then Find Your Army Education Specialist tab there is a new tool that we added, and I'll speak to it a little bit more at the end. We have education services specialists spread out across the country at every recruiting battalion. The problem is that we never had a public place where folks could find them, specifically educators, because we're there to support the Army and be a liaison between the Army and educators out in the communities where the recruiters are. So that tool is the first time that we have out there in the public a place where you can actually identify who is the education services specialist that covers your area. And I'll go into it a little bit further, but it works based on zip code. Now I'm going to move on, and what I'm going to talk to you about now is how March to Success works. So I indicated it's a free online self-paced tutoring program, and the way it works is it's basically how we teach. We pre-assess. So when a student logs in, and let's say they're using the high school prep course, they would choose English or math, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to be provided a pre-assessment, because we need to understand, or the system needs to know, where the student's weaknesses are. Because once that assessment is graded, the system will generate a self-paced tutoring program specifically for that student based on their weaknesses. So if the student indicated they had a proficiency in certain areas, they will not receive that. They're only going to receive the items that were shown to be that they need to work with. Then it will provide a series of lessons based on those subject areas that the student was weak in. Let's say in math, if you were weak in fractions or division, then you'll receive some areas, some lessons in those areas. Then it'll provide some practice tests to check on learning, to ensure the student learned those items. Now, I will tell you that this learning path method works for both the high school and the college. It works the same exact way, except the college one has a writing portion as well. The high school version has English and math, and it's as easy as that. Really, it's that simple. Now, what I did here is I put up some screenshots of the high school math and verbal skills online course, giving you some more information. I will tell you that it's not just a sit there and read. They have drag and drop. There's a variety of questions to try to keep the student engaged. As you're aware, in the education field, a lot of studies have been done that the more engaged you have your students, the more retainability they have. The more senses they use in the learning process, the more they're going to retain. And so Peterson's, and I don't recall if I mentioned that, the curriculum, everything provided on March Success was really developed by Peterson's. It's not developed by the Army. Peterson's coursework is all on here. So they're a nationally known provider of curriculum. They're proven curriculums. And as a matter of fact, the Army, we use this curriculum within the Army for soldiers that need to improve. Maybe they're applying for a specific specialty school in the Army, and if so, they may need to up a certain score on their ASVAB. The ASVAB is not just simply for entry into the Army, but the Army uses it within the Army to see if soldiers are qualified for specialty skills or various schools that they may apply for. So this coursework that Peterson's provides, we actually use within the Army to help soldiers improve their scores as well. Now, this is the college readiness version. As I indicated here, if you look at that photo, I know it's kind of small, but the top screenshot there, it says your personalized coursework there. And you'll notice it's English, writing, math, and college level math. So as I indicated, it works. The high school and the college work the same way. The college has a little bit more than the high school, but the process is the same. The website is available 24 hours, 7 days a week. If there's a problem, the student has a problem, they can email a question and they will receive a response back within 24 hours. Or if an educator has a question or is having a problem with the system, we will respond within 24 hours. If they have, we answer all questions. There is some folks that handle the background of the website for us. If it's a question that they cannot answer, I will tell you most of the time the questions will come to me and I will provide an answer back to the individual that requested that. So let me move on here. Now, these are flashcards that are available. Remember how we used to study with index cards, where these are automated index cards. And these are great because they cover both verbal and they have math flashcards. One of the great features of the flashcards is that it has sound, and you can actually print them out as well. So as I indicated earlier, the more senses you incorporate, the more retainability we have. My daughter has used these and it's improved her vocabulary tremendously. And it has different levels. They'll have easy, medium, and hard. And we actually recently increased the number of flashcards that are within the system. Now, the bottom screenshot in the center there, part of the flashcards is, if you notice it says quiz there. The quiz is actually a little game that you see at the bottom. And the students can, what they do is they have a paragraph there and they have to place, drag and drop the word where it fits in the paragraph. This way they're learning how to use that word as well in their grammar. And they get points, and it's like a game to keep them engaged. Again, it has sound to make it more interesting and challenging. Also, these cards here, if you haven't learned it, you can keep it. If you learned it, you move it over. You can shuffle, where it reshuffles the cards for you, and you can go over them over and over again as many times as you'd like. The math is awesome as well. It was very unique when I saw the math flashcards the first time. I encourage you to really register as an educator on March Success and go out and try it for yourselves. If you register as an educator, you will, along with the added features that I indicated in the beginning, you will have access to the coursework. You can do anything that a student does on March to Success. Now, here we go to the SAT and ACT. As I indicated, and I can't stress this enough, 7 free full-length practice SAT and ACT tests. I will mention right now that, as we know, the SAT changed and they modified it. March to Success, we were in the front of that, and our curriculum, our tests were updated immediately. As a matter of fact, I believe we still have a message on the front page of March to Success indicating that we are up to standards with the new SAT. I'll tell you that I am aware of right now, there is no other program that you can buy or you can find out there that will offer 7 free full-length practice tests. And I can tell you from my experience that they really do work. And again, I can only speak to my experience with my daughter there. When she took the practice test and we had her results back, I will tell you, it was amazing. It was pretty much right on par. I mean, it surprised me the first time she took it as a 7th grader when she took the practice ACT, because while I had a feeling that, you know, she has some gifts, I didn't realize how far they went. And she took, I had her take a practice ACT again this year, right before taking the real one last Saturday, and I'm expecting the same type of results. She actually increased her composite score on the practice test. We actually added a new feature to the scoring on ACT. Where actually, in the past, we never gave you a composite score. Well, this year we updated March to Success, so we're actually going to give the students a composite score based on their practice test. We also added another feature that tells them every section that's on the test, how much time you have, and whatnot, a little explanation more of the test. But I will tell you, this feature here, the 7 free practice ACT and SAT tests, is just unbelievable. And as many presentations that I've done at schools with parents, they're always like, why didn't I know about this before? Because, as you know, it costs money to take these practice tests. Also, the research shows that the more you take the test, the better students do, because they get used to the time test, they get used to the types of questions that are answered. So again, I encourage you to go out there and look at that and try it out. We have the science hub on there. We also have the college admissions and financing. Let's see here. Now, this is a new piece that we added this year as well, which is the STEM modules. STEM, as you know, across the country, everybody's looking for STEM. We have a need across our nation for students that focus on STEM type of education. So here's what we've done. We've added a social science hub, a nursing hub. I'm going to pick out the nursing hub in particular because we've actually added the PAXRN and the PSB and these tests right here in the PN. Those tests are tests that you need to take to apply for nursing school. So they're actually specific tests that you have to do. So it's similar to taking a practice ACT, but this is specific for the nursing field. So these are really good tests. I was really excited when we were able to add these. The technology hub, everybody knows technology is big across the country right now. Right now, these are just practice tests with questions that they can take. When they take the test, they actually get results. Anything that they miss, they'll have a link that, and this is for all the tests. There will be a link. If you answered incorrectly, you click on the link, and it's going to provide you the right answer and a short explanation of how that answer is, why that answer is correct. The pre-engineering hub. Here we have some accelerated math, as you can see there, physics, calculus, and the same thing with these. They take the test. They can take as many times as they want. The wrong answers, they will provide the correct answers for them. Here's a breakdown of our math module. I was really excited to have the math because we have issues across this country with math. And I will tell you, we've added this math piece, in particular, the basic math. We added a big section on additional math learning because we have a need for this, for the basic algebra, basic geometry, you know, just arithmetic, just to have some things there to help those students that may need a little practice to get back up to par. And this right here is some screenshots of the results, what the students will see. It breaks everything down into sections for them, tells them what percentage was right. If you could see on the right-hand side, you see the monitor feature, which is a great feature. You can see there you can add as many students as you want. You can add as many monitors. A student can add as many monitors as they want. And educators, a parent or a mentor can see, you know, the login. When did they log in? How many times have they logged in? What sections are they doing? What are their scores on the ACT, SAT, or anything that they've done? Oh, let me go back one, sorry. Here we go. And this is my really final one. To get more information about March to Success, I know we're getting close to time here, but to get more information on March to Success, this is really the easiest way, or you can actually send a message through March Success. We added this feature here. You can type in a zip code. When you do search, the name and location of the education services specialist that covers your area will pop up, and you can click on Contact that ESS, and you can send them an email. And basically, and we'll get a copy of that email here as well, because we like to follow up to make sure that they did receive the email and they are following up with educators. This system is up and running right now, and it's actually worked beautifully. We've had quite a few ESSs go out to schools to demonstrate March to Success and help some educators set up the monitoring piece and give presentations for educators on all the things that March Success can do, can help them with. Now, this is really the end of my presentation. You'll see there the top link is the website, www.marchtosuccess.com, and the one below that is a link to a video that you can download. If you see those pictures up there, improve your SAT or ACT score. We did a short 1-minute promotional video that we're using to help promote March to Success for the first time. So we have a few minutes here. That's the end of my presentation. I'd go ahead and take any questions that you may have at this time.
Tony, I have a couple of questions that have come in. One is, can an Army representative come out to my school to provide a presentation and show us how to use the monitoring aspect of March to Success?
Yes, absolutely. The best way to find your ESS is use that zip code feature on March Success. So register as an educator, go into the Find My Army Education Specialist tab, type in the zip code and send them a message. Or you can go into March Success website and send a question and say, hey, I'd like somebody to present at my school or show me the information. That message will come to me and I will find out who handles the area. Please let us know what school, the zip code, where you're at, so we know, because as I indicated, we have 54 ESSs across the country.
Thank you. It's a wonderful resource, and I repeat what you've already said twice, and this is free to schools. I hope folks not only take advantage of it, but tell their colleagues. Another question that's come up is, how can teachers use March to Success as a classroom tool or part of their curriculum?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I will say the first thing that I'm going to say to answer this question is that an educator is only limited to their own imagination on how they can use March to Success. Any way that you can conceive. I will tell you some pieces that we've done. When I worked in Texas, they used to have the tax test back in the day that students had to pass before they could graduate from high school. We had a lot of issues with kids that would fail portions of the tax test. So you had to do, I had teachers that set up special tutoring programs. Let's say students that missed and had to pass the math portion, they would set up tutoring programs using March to Success, and the students would only take the math portion of March to Success. So that's one great tool to do it. Or you can use it as an additional credit within your classroom, because as a monitor, you can go back to see when they logged in, how many lessons they finished, what their scores are, and there's been teachers that have used it as a supplement to what they're doing in their math class or their English class. I will tell you something that I'd like to say as well that I didn't mention in the beginning. Although March Success is sponsored by the Army, I will tell you that we do not, and I want to make this clear, we do not collect data. No recruiter will contact a student because they registered on March to Success. We collect the minimal amount data necessary to be able to monitor passwords and be able to support those students and educators that register on here, but we do not use this as a recruiting tool in no way, shape, or form. So I want to make that clear, because a lot of times, since it is Recruiting Command and it is the Army, a lot of folks think that we're, trying to collect leads or get information from students. The reality is that the No Child Left Behind, or now Every Student Succeeds Act, gives us permission to request school lists from schools, and that's how we get the names and numbers of students. There's a law that actually says that we can do that. Mm-hmm. We don't need to do this via March Success, and we do not. This is truly a tool to help students, because we've had an issue nationally. The Army doesn't have a problem finding students that want to join the Army. We have a problem finding students that can qualify and pass the test that you need to join the Army. And this helps everybody, whether they want to join the Army or not join the Army. Our thing is we need to get them through high school and get them to graduate, because we know students that graduate from high school are more likely to be productive members of our society, which in the end helps our nation anyway.
Thank you for that. That's another question that had come up. Here's a question from Brent. He asks, we are using Khan Academy, and I'm curious to know if you think this program will work in conjunction with Khan Academy, or something that something that stands alone?
March Success can stand alone, but I will be very honest with you. I use a combination of March Success, and my daughter has actually used Khan Academy as well. Sometimes there's some questions that she feels they weren't explained as clearly. She looks it up on Khan Academy and use Khan Academy. Mm-hmm. But March Success can stand alone. Every student is different, and some explanations work for students one way, other explanations work for students another way. Everybody's a little different. So it's a good, I think they can certainly support each other.
Well, thank you. That's all the questions I see right now. Just pause for 1 second in case anybody's typing one in at the moment. And while we're paused, Tony, I'll say thank you very much. I know when I was a principal, I would have really loved to have had access to a resource like this. And as a father, I would have loved to have had it for my kids as well. It's quite an impressive free resource for schools. I'm going to take back the keyboard.
Okay. Well, thank you, John. I'd like to thank you again and thank NASSP for this opportunity. I will tell you, we have schools and some school districts across the country that are mandating to use March to Success. I mean, I'll tell you, we do track registrations because we have to justify our tax dollars that pay for this. And we average about 15 to 20,000 registrations on March to Success a month during the school year. Oh, we've had over 100,000 students use March to Success.
That's really impressive. I'm glad to hear that. Again, thank you. This slide is just for those folks on the line who may be members of NASSP or non-members as well. For the first time ever, the Elementary Principals Association and the Secondary Principals Association will co-sponsor a Principals Conference, National Principals Conference, July 9th through 11th in Philadelphia. You see the website, principalsconference.org, where you can get more information about registration and housing and other details that you may be curious to find out about. And again, I'll repeat, the webinar will be available on www.nassp.org/webinars video. Tony, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I wish you luck, and I want to say thank you to the Army for providing this great resource to high school students across the country.
Thank you so much again.
Take care.